Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7. So we are almost, I think a week away from the 2-month mark until The Flash returns back to our screens with its 7th season, which might seem a while away. You might be like, oh my god, that's 1/6 of a year, Paige, that's ages away. But it really only does feel like yesterday that I was saying it was 3 months away. So based off that, time's going to fly, especially as the new year hits, the holidays and all of that, so it'll fly. And as we get closer, we'll get promos or trailers, as well as like various other pieces of promotional material that we can look at, whether it's posters or interviews or like promo images and stuff like that, and go, ooh, that looks interesting. What's going to happen? Now, filming for The Flash has been back for just over a week from when this video will go up, since their short break due to a COVID issue. So I think they're only down for like about a week and a half or something. So all's good in regards to that. It wasn't too much of an issue. And because of that, they took that break. They're having a shorter break over Christmas. Then all the other shows are gone for like a month. Flash is only gone for 2 weeks or something like that over Christmas, if not like a week and a half. So they're having a shorter break to catch up on filming. So they're not going to be behind filming come like mid-January. So all's good there. Knock on wood. But last weekend, I'm sure most of you guys, or at least some of you, knew that this was on. There was CCXP in Brazil, well, the online version due to COVID, where there was some panels and stuff related to various things, whether it was like DC, Marvel, or other properties and stuff like that. Now, the only DC TV shows, whether it's CW just in general, that had any focus were that of Batwoman Season 2, as well as The Flash. Now, on the Flash panel, there wasn't really much to talk about of note. There wasn't like, oh my god, that's a massive drop in like multiple areas. That's why I didn't do a Flash panel breakdown from it, which I normally would have from a convention like this. It's just usually what I do. However, the panel that consisted of Danielle Nicolette and Kayla Compton, who play Cecile and Allegra on the show, did have one interesting moment or quote that I'm sure will interest some of you once you hear it, and kick your theorizing engines into overdrive as to who, it is specifically referring to potentially. So while bringing up the latest season that's currently being filmed, what we could see throughout the season was brought up, and this is what Danielle Nicolette had to say, and it's quite interesting. We're not allowed to tell you secrets about the season, but I will say I think it's a reasonable assumption that, yeah, we always have time travel on some level happening. I mean, I can tell you this, there are going to be some favorites from the past, some bad guys' favorites that may be paying a visit or two this season, so I'll leave it up to you to speculate on how they're going to get to us. Now, the big thing in regards to this, it's not just referring to one person, it's referring to multiple people, or in this case, multiple villains. Not just saying one villain is time traveling, to mess and, floss on Barry and the other members of Team Flash. It's multiple, so who could they be? Well, let's go over some of the options, as we always do, but of course, throughout the video, in response to this, let me know who you think it could be in the comments section down below. I'm always curious to hear what you guys are saying, or thinking, theorizing, whatever it might be, whatever's going up in those brains of yours. Let me know in the comments section down below. I'm curious. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support for the channel, especially during this time. So the first one is the obvious one to go over, because this is obviously one of the villains that's going to be in there. We already know which one of the villains is, because we saw him on set, and that's Abracadabra. Abracadabra is a villain from eons in the future, so we know he's a time-traveling villain. The big question about Abracadabra is how he gets there, and like the reason for it and whether there's changes. Because it's important to remember that in Season 3 when he appeared, he obviously went off with Gypsy, and we just assumed that maybe he was executed or something like that, because there really wasn't any further mention of him, and when he was being taken away, that's pretty much that was like alluded to. He was going to be, yeeted off the face of the earth through an execution. So have the events that we saw in Season 3 with Abracadabra completely changed due to Crisis? Is this one of the things that's changed? Have Barry and Abracadabra never met? Have they met? Was it a different way? Or is Abracadabra basing his encounter with Barry in Season 7 similar to how we saw it in Season 3, where he was basing it off, a future version of Barry? So it's going to be very curious to see what they do with Abracadabra. Now, they say here, like I was going to say Cecile, but Danielle's quote, they say they might be paying a visit or two this season. Now, I've been saying this in a couple of videos when it refers to guest stars that are going to be showing up in this season. Because of COVID, people that fly into Canada to film have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So it's going to be very, very rare. There could be some circumstances, especially if it's a very important character, to be there. but just for a general character that isn't like pivotal to the overall story of the season, it's going to be very rare to have one person coming in just for one episode, especially early on in the season at least. Who knows, things may be lifted once they get into next year where the quarantine isn't there. But at the moment it's there. It's been there for the first how many episodes they've filmed. So we should be seeing these characters, if they show up, be there for multiple episodes if it fits in the show. I don't know if Abracadabra being there for 2-3 episodes in a row fits, but it would make sense if he was there because of the quarantine issues. So it's not just with him either. It should be with a couple of characters if they are returning. So keep that in mind. But I am very curious just to see any changes that are there with Abracadabra. Now, one of the other villains that they could be referring to here is, of course, Godspeed. Now, it depends what they do with Godspeed. Are they changing up Godspeed? Are they retconning what we saw in Season 5 with Nora, how Godspeed was from the future? Because as we know, once we headed into Season 6, we had multiple appearances by Godspeed in present day, and it seemed like everything was functioning and running in present day. So did they retcon it that Godspeed's now in present day? Because it wouldn't have been due to Crisis, because obviously at the beginning of the season he was there. So I don't know if they're going to make it that Godspeed's now from the present day, or maybe following Season 5, he decided to come back and settle in present day and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see what they do there, but Godspeed could be one of these villains that's from the future, or one of these threats that's from the future that's going to come back and pay a visit or two. But we're being told that he's like, early on it seemed like he was just the villain for the first half, but based off like how the season's going and how they're filming, it seems like he's just we're led to believe at least he's the threat for the entire season. And I've said it in multiple cases, I don't think he's actually the villain. I think it's going to be a bit of a bait and switch, and Godspeed might team up with Team Flash come the end of the season. That's what I hope, at least, because really, when it comes down to it, Godspeed actually really isn't a villain. So it'd be good if they actually sort of followed that in the show. But yeah, Godspeed's definitely one to keep your eye out in regards or in relation to what Danielle's saying here. I always keep saying Cecile. Danielle, keep that in mind. The third one, and this is obviously not a mind-boggler at the same time, but Reverse Flash. Obviously, we knew that the cliffhanger, or the thing at the end of Season 6 that was originally meant to be there in the final episode, related to something relating to Eobard Thawne or Reverse Flash. Now, we know, thanks to Season 6, there's like spirit or spiritual Speed Force entity just floating around there looking for a host. So I think we just assumed that the cliffhanger was something to do with him maybe finding a host or a body or something along those lines, or maybe a different version of Reverse Flash showing up, something like that. So that's always the case. But the thing is, would he be time traveling? I guess if it's another version, it'd be time traveling. But if it's just Reverse Flash in general, like we saw him at the end, during Season 6, or he is this like spiritual entity, then he wouldn't be time traveling in any way. So what Danielle's saying here is specifically about time travel. Obviously, she might have forgotten exactly what happened with Reverse Flash, so she just assumes that he time traveled, but he technically would be in the present day, if that makes sense. But then again, is there really space and time where he went? Maybe not. But I'd be very, 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 very surprised if Reverse Flash wasn't in this season, just because we're meant to be, like the cliffhanger for last season was meant to be relating to him, which logically would just fold into this season. So yeah, but they're changing that up, but I don't think they're going to completely scrap any idea that they had for a Reverse Flash season anymore. I think they're going to keep it in some way, shape or form. And the last thing is not necessarily to do with time travel, but it's a travel of some aspect which they could use, and that's the potential for the multiverse. The multiverse, as we know, was destroyed but rebuilt, but the characters on Earth Prime don't know that like Earth 2 exists with Stargirl and all these different Earths, that there is actually a new multiverse there, but they just need to tap back into it. Now, I would love for that to be a aspect of this season, tapping back into the multiverse, and I'm not saying that it becomes the main plot line of like the season like it was in Season 2. Like the multiverse is pretty much one of the main things in Season 2. I'm not saying that has to be the case with Season 7, but I would just love it if they actually just tapped into it and just knew that it was there. So Barry just travels, I'm not saying he has to travel to Stargirl's Earth, just travel to like Earth 4 or something like that, like a random Earth. I'd just love if that happened, just to reignite it and reintroduce it, at least into the characters of Earth Prime. Now, if a character was going to return through the multiverse, you think this would only be relating to like dead characters? But then again, Crisis happened, and even though Abracadabra, we didn't see him die at least, it seems that they might be changing stuff up with him, which relates to Crisis. So with Crisis, they could say that a certain character didn't die, or in this case, a certain villain didn't die, and they could come back. So maybe they're alive now in this new Earth Prime timeline. But I guess Crisis being there has sort of shifted the reliability or the reliance, I guess you could say, on using the multiverse, because I can just say, oh, this character never disappeared, or this character now has, or this person here has these metahuman powers instead of that person over there who can't come on the show anymore or died. So it's easy for them to just use Crisis to rewrite stuff, which I'm fine with, but let's not throw the multiverse out the door. Let's try and keep the multiverse in play, because it's just too cool to not, focus on or tap into every now and then. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all to go over. Those are the ones I just wanted to focus on. Obviously, you could make a list of about like 15 or 20 if you wanted to, but I just listed the ones that are most likely and then also added the multiverse thing just because I like it. I'm a sucker for it. But of course, let me know your various opinions in the comments section down below. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say on this and who you would like to see. If you enjoyed the video, would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. And of course, if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? It's free, takes 2 seconds. Do it. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good day, and I'll catch you later. Goodbye.